Hey guys, what's up? I trust this finds you well, eh? How are you doing? How have you been keeping? Well, today is the 29th, the second last day of the month of November. We are about to go to the last month of the year, December. I hope you have enjoyed the year and you had a glorious time. And looking forward to the festive season. Okay, so today I decided to do something slightly different than what I normally do usually. I think I've ever done a video like this before once where I looked into my Twitter feed. So today when I woke up this morning, I saw something that President Cyril Matamela Ramaphosa said yesterday on the 28th of November. Now, obviously, I couldn't talk about that yesterday because it was my spouse's birthday, right? Okay, brilliant. Now, let's look at what then today is all about, what President Ramaphosa was saying yesterday. President Cyril Ramaphosa wants South Africans to be messengers and tell ANC government good story instead of bad-mouthing the country. Oh my goodness. What can you say to these things? This guy must be a real communist, right? Um, um, Goebbels, Hitler's propagandist, once said, if you tell people a lie long enough, they will believe it. It becomes their truth. I think that's where he lives. You see, there is a problem with being a communist because communism has never worked anywhere, right? Listen to what he says. Be like the Chinese. Stop bad-mouthing your country, says Ramaphosa. No, Chinese are not telling a good story about their country. I don't know which Chinese you are talking about. I guess you're talking about Chinese who are in China. Try Chinese who are in the UK, Chinese who are in America, who ran away from Xi Jinping's government. Nevertheless, that's not the point. Don't want to argue with you over nonsense like that. Let's just focus on what you have achieved. You say have spent R1 billion on the Zondo Commission. And in what you termed in EWF, EWF, the World Economic Forum, WEF, in what you termed the 9 wasted years, which is the Zuma years, state capture years. I call the Zuma years state capture 1.0. I call yours state capture 2.0. Why? You have a series of reports that the current CJ gave to you, and you have not once implemented by ensuring that your comrades who are in your NEC, who are in your cabinet, have been sent to jail. The last time we had a member of the NEC being found guilty of a wrongdoing was under President Mbeki in Jackie Silebi. Jackie Silebi was sent to jail for 15 years. He was released because he was sick and he subsequently died thereafter. We saw another comrade, Tony Yengeni, under Mbeki's regime being sent to jail. We saw another comrade in Shabir Sheikh being sent to jail for 15 years. We saw another comrade in Winnie Madikizela Mandela being convicted under Mbeki's government for theft and fraud, and was sent to a jail sentence of 5 years. She appealed that in 2004, and the appeals court removed the theft but maintained the fact that she was a criminal in the fact that she perpetrated a fraudulent activity. They gave her a suspended sentence of 3.5 years, but she was convicted. What's the point I'm making here? There is a precedence in your own organization of convicting high-profile individuals and sending them to jail where necessary. Why are you surrounded by criminals masquerading as our leaders? Why? Look at the communication below here. This is not my opinion. Listen to this. Unfortunately, we only have had bad stories, especially under you. Pala, rand manipulation. Now, if you say I am a man of integrity, why did you allow your comrades to go to parliament to muzzle Parliament, thereby acting with high indignity and lack of patriotism, using a majority that South Africans gave you to ensure that the country is run according to good corporate governance principles. And the ANC went to Parliament, misused the majority for its political gain to ensure that you don't get to account for what happened in Palapala. Let's move on. I don't think people are bad-mouthing South Africa, the country. Okay, I don't think people are bad-mouthing South Africa, the country. We can see the pride each South African had during the recent World Cup rugby. I agree 100%. They are criticizing and bad-mouthing the failing government. I agree with that 100%. South Africa is more than the ANC or any other political party. I agree with that 100%. This is how I train my children. Love the Lord your God with all your heart, with all your mind, and with all your soul. Right? The second one is to love your country, meaning to be patriotic. Right? Observe, the first two priorities have got nothing to do with being a partisan, with owing allegiance to a political party. And most of you, in fact, I can dare say none of you in the ANC have ever been trained to be patriotic. You think patriotism is synonymous with the ANC. No, say 1,000 times no. The African National Congress is cancerous to this country. Here is someone else saying, but there isn't a single story that is good. If we tell a good story about the ANC, we would be liars. And Lord knows, telling lies is where the corruption begins. Sounds like he's trying to groom us for corruption. We know your mind tricks, Captain. I love the humor there. Okay, Chris Excel Fake says, in other words, President Cyril Ramaphosa, she said Ramaphosa, I think I hope it's an error, wants each and every South African citizen to become a liar. What a president. What a president indeed. That would allow his subordinates to practice lawlessness, to use their majority to block a process in Parliament. And then, were you guys being loyal to our country when you did that? Was that a good story to tell? That we are majority, so we can still have our hands in the cookie jar, and then when anybody wants to challenge us, we'll fire the public protector, we'll use our majority to muzzle people in... Were you guys being patriotic when you did that? Wow. That's amazing. Now, he must tell us what he wants us to say to Mamin. Give us something to be proud of. Indeed. Indeed. Start by sending your NEC members to jail. And start by coming out with Palapala yourself. And perhaps you could start also by resigning. You know? I mean, for crying out loud, you are the president who followed European principles. You guys keep on calling, particularly you in particular, you keep on bad-mouthing Donald Trump, right? But yet, you followed his crazy policies of closing the country. Now, Trump opened America and turned around the economy. You say you didn't open the country, you didn't turn around the economy. Your policy of closing the country during COVID is what killed the jobs and descended the economy into the abyss in which it finds itself. COVID did no such a thing. Absolutely not. Those were your policies. Those were your decisions. You were the leader. Okay, let's see. You want us to lie like you and your cadres do. Is that what you are asking us to do? Most South Africans are moral, upstanding people who have integrity. We will never stoop to your levels. It's actually very true. It's very, very true. Everything you look at in South Africa is rotten. There's really no good story to tell. I mean, look at what you are doing right now with load shedding. Today, I was load shedding in my house from 6 o'clock tonight up until 8. Before that, from 10 o'clock in the morning up until 2. Before that, from 2 o'clock, early hours of the morning up until 5. That's ridiculous. Who can work and do anything meaningful when power, for which we pay for, by the way, can be dealt with like this? And you know what? Look, why did De Ruyter resign? And you know why De Ruyter resigned, but still, you still are keeping the same minister that was there before De Ruyter got there. No, sir, we have absolutely no good story to tell. You're not going to gaslight us to make us believe lies. As a matter of fact, the nice thing about this is when we were children, we received training from our parents. We were trained in the way we should go. So there's no way. You don't stand a chance. None whatsoever. Now let's move on. Cyril Ramaphosa, I met you personally a few times before you becoming a president of South Africa. When you were a board member at MTN, you were such an inspiration to chat to. I never thought you'd become the person whereby almost every South African hates you for the way the country has been run during your presidency. I, like many South Africans, wish you step down and enjoy your retirement with your grandchildren. I can't agree more. I can't agree more. Why can't they use the same method that was enforced to our lovely Jacob Zuma to resign on this guy? Okay, that's a Zuma supporter, obviously. And for me, I always like for my videos to be based on fact and to be objective. You declared Zuma to be a delinquent when you went to the World Economic Forum and you said that his presidency was 9 wasted years. But what you forgot was that you were his deputy, meaning you partook in that 9 wasted years. Nevertheless, we're not badmouthing the country at Cyril Ramaphosa. We are telling the truth as to how incompetent you and your cronies are. You see, the sad part about all of this, you're saying that, okay, this guy says Ralston van der Schyff, I hope I'm pronouncing his van der Schyff, says the Chinese have a functioning government where services are actually rendered and things are built, not bent down. You see, we love South Africa. That is a Gilly. We love South Africa, or Gilly. Yeah, it's Gillian, so it's Gilly. We love South Africa, our country. We really do. And that's why we are trying so hard, I guess, to save it. I think that's what he wanted to say. We don't badmouth it ever. And we've pleaded for a good story to tell for a long time. And we have none, Mr. President. Now that's me adding to that. We have none. We have none. Our infrastructure is deeply dating because you and your comrades, not only your comrades, have your hands in the cookie jar. Say you were not a billionaire when you were growing up. Your parents were not rich. You became rich because of BEE. Okay? Now that you have seen the difference between you and Donald Trump, right? Donald Trump is a billionaire whom you had something negative to speak about. Yet Americans today are saying he has been the best president probably in 70 years in terms of what he did with their economy. Now, you were a business person when you ascended to presidency, and that gave a lot of hope to many South Africans that you will apply business principles in turning the economy around. You have dismally failed. You have dismally failed. And you have no excuse because unlike Jacob Zuma, you are not a standard 2 pupil, you are an advocate, which means yours is a deliberate sabotage. I mean, I normally ask this question, Mr. President. What would Cyril Ramaphosa have done differently if he was given a mandate? This is a hypothesis. If he was given a mandate to destroy our country, what would he have done differently than what he has done since he took over in 2018? And everybody I've asked this question to said nothing. He's doing an excellent job at destroying the country. Now, no one is saying you have been given a mandate by anybody to destroy the country, but to demonstrate to you that we do think, and we think outside the box. The country is, you see now, we black people are also beginning to leave the country. That's how we are positioning ourselves, to leave the country and not stay here. Why? Why are we supposed to stay here if we are not appreciated in the land of our... We love the country, make no mistake about it. But we have our children to feed. Your government is so corrupt that some of us came from the private sector and into the public sector to invest knowledge. And your comrades sought to try to corrupt us and persecuted us to the nth degree. So everybody who has integrity cannot work for your government. That's how corrupt your government is. Now that's my input. It's not Ralston's input. That's my input. It's not Jilly's input. That's my input. And I have a right to give this input as a South African. Let me proceed. In fact, this is my video as well. So I have a right to give this input in between. Listen to this. So in short, our voices must not be heard, said. And by the way, that's the other side of the coin when we analyze what you are saying. That means you are so callous. You have gotten to a point where you believe your own lies. That when people are telling the truth, you say they are bad-mouthing South Africa. That means your conscience now has been seared as if with a hot iron. You are problematic, Mr. President. You are seriously problematic. You have a problem. Do an introspection, say, and do the honorable thing. The best thing you can do for us is to leave. I mean, South Africa is to resign. South Africa has the third highest crime rate, highest murder rate in the world. We exceed Afghanistan, that has been in war with America for 20 years. We are a rape capital of the world. Now, Eskom in 2000 was regarded as the best service provider of electricity in the world. They even received awards. Today, look at what is happening in Eskom. And the Raider pointed out that something that which you should know, that there are cabals at Eskom that have a hegemony. What did you do about it? What did your patriotic self do about it if you are a leader? Nothing. That is why, and you also have businesses, according to Metella Koko and Mulife, that are benefiting from the crisis which we are experiencing. So no, we are not deceived. There's a lot of our coal which is being sent to Europe. Europe wants to use our coal. You guys fought Zuma to build nuclear, which is a clean energy. If you had built the nuclear Zuma had suggested, and I note this as your problem together with the media that seems to support everything that you say, but yet they were so quick to report on Zuma's corruption, but they are not reporting on the issues and the decisions which you are making that are wrongly, such as prioritizing Europe to send our coal. And then we are supposed to use renewables. That does not make sense. We have coal here, and which is being sent to Europe. It's fine if you want to focus on exports, but exports cannot be prioritized over against our well-being. The Raider had to repurpose some coal plants. And if that is true, then that means our crisis of load shedding is engineered. Because these plants were supposed to be used to produce electricity so that South Africa has got enough, generates enough capacity to handle, so that our economy is not where it is right now. So you really have killed our economy by the policies you've implemented deliberately in COVID. And notwithstanding that, you used children in South Africa and South Africans as a guinea pig for a COVID vaccine that has not been tested. And now in South Africa, no one, the media, is not talking about the pericarditis and the myocarditis that is killing multitudes. That is being recorded in America, being recorded in Britain. And South Africans are quiet. There's no way the Madonna and the other, what you call pharmaceutical company vaccines that are now being reported in America and in England to be having these consequences are not having the same consequences in South Africa. And that is impossible. But nobody is reporting that. And you are quiet. And it is you who initially said no one shall be forced to be vaccinated. And then you change your tune because in your mind we are your children. No, we are not your children. And we never ever voted for any government to take our rights. Our rights, they don't proceed from the Constitution of the Republic. The Constitution of the Republic simply affirms our God-given rights. Please be mindful of that. Therefore, they cannot be taken away. We observed a man whom we trusted because he looked like us, which is a good lesson for us to have learned never ever again to make that mistake. We observed that man abusing power, closing our country down, building structures which he never asked us about, and telling pharmaceuticals not to use ivermectin. And I know this because I've got pharmacists who are my friends who told me there is an instruction and it is said it comes from the president not to use ivermectin. Ivermectin, which happens to be very good in dealing with COVID-related symptoms. And countries that have used ivermectin did not have the fatalities that South Africa had for COVID. All of this information was known. But nevertheless, you're asking us, we have a good story to tell. No, we don't. 42% of South Africans are not working. South Africans who ought to be at work. And 50% of that is youth. So no, we have no good story to tell. In Johannesburg, what's happening with water? Look at the Vaal, sewage inside drinking water. Look at the cholera outbreak just on the other side of Pretoria. We have no good story to tell, none whatsoever. Our infrastructure is debilitating. Look at our roads, look at our potholes. We now literally have to negotiate potholes the size of our cars when we travel back home. Look at the levels of crime, and yet you keep on insisting that Ndosi should remain. Why? Why is Cele still there? Cele was found to be delinquent years ago by a court in the scandal of buildings, which you know about because he was found to be delinquent years ago. But you still insist that the comrades must be there. No, Mr. President, it is not so, sir. If anything, those of us who are old enough will start now mobilizing that we get back to a scenario and a hegemony that we had when the ANC was banned. Remember, the ANC believes a lie that they've liberated us. No, we liberated ourselves. We fought for our freedom together with the Western community, which today you are seeking to get South Africans to despise. How dare you point us to China? China that is sending Muslims to jail for being Muslims. China that kills and sends Christians to jail for being Christian. How dare you send us to China? How dare you? China is not our example. It is your example because you are a communist, a godless communist. That is why you people are teaching the nonsense that you are teaching at schools, teaching children about evolution. That is why South Africa is a God-forsaken country, because you guys are imposing your lawlessness. You are imposing your belief system. That is why you have a constitution, which is the first and the only one in the entire African country. Of course, before what you call one of these SADC countries followed suit, which I thought was foolishness, that recognizes sexual orientation as a right. An African state, yet you never consulted us as Africans as to what we think about that. And now you are in bed with Iran, and you are in bed with countries that do not recognize women's rights, that do not recognize gays and lesbian rights. But in your own constitution, you recognize sexual orientation, but now you are building relationships with countries, one, that would want you killed in any case because they call you an infidel. Amazing. Amazing. No, we have no good story to tell. We would celebrate if you, say, were to submit your resignation. We would have a good time if you don't resign. The best thing next to your resignation is to send everybody that Zondo recommended to be sent to jail. They belong in the orange overalls. And start, as I've given you an example, that there is a government in South Africa under the same ANC, under Thabo Mbeki, that sent high-profile individuals like Jackie Selebi to jail for 15 years. Jackie Selebi was released to go and die because he was sick. And the same story with Shabir Sheikh. These were your comrades who were high-profile, and they were sent to jail. And if it was not for the sake of this boy, Julius Malema, Zuma would never have become our president. And not only Julius Malema, other very influential communists like Blade Nzimande, like Vavi, who brought us the Zuma years, which led us to where we are, where you have a president who has been bought and paid for. Now the same is being said about you. Now, of course, I do not know the truth of the truth or lack thereof of that. All I know is, if you, say, hypothetically, were given a mandate to destroy South Africa, right now you are doing an excellent job. You are really doing an excellent job at it. Eskom is going down, is on the tubes, is breathing with the tubes. And you keep on telling us, you keep on having conferences for which yield absolutely nothing for South Africans who are poor. The middle class is getting poorer because of your interest rates are ridiculous. You've even increased VAT, and your tax rate, your pay as you earn, is 41% for certain salary brackets. It's ridiculous. So if you look at that plus VAT, that is 56%. 41% plus 15%, that is 56%. Then you look at fuel levy. No, 1,000 times no. We have no good story to tell. None whatsoever. If we are still alive and we are still going on with motivation, it's got nothing to do with the ANC. None whatsoever. The ANC has not even built a university. Okay, I guess Blade was saying there was one that he was building. I don't know if it has ever been complete, but the point I'm trying to make to you is pretty obvious. What happened to the post office? What happened to SAA? Why is Dudu Myeni not in jail? We have no good story to tell, sir. None whatsoever. There you go. A successful village girl. Is there any good story to tell? Give us the message and then let us comment accordingly. There is no good story to tell. So give us a list of good ANC things, boss. I see nothing. Zilch, nix, zero, fuck all. Mr. Pinocchio. This is how South Africans feel about you, Mr. President. You see your wall of shame. SABS, Sandral, SABC, fail. You see, this is your wall of shame. Can you see that? Look at the death roll. Look at that. 21 times more people died, violent deaths between 1994 and 2016. And it's still continuing. Make no mistake about it. Make no mistake about it. It's still continuing. My God, my God. Unbelievable. Unbelievable. And then you tell us we have a story to tell. No, we have no story to tell. This is unbelievable. Nevertheless, I hope you get this message or somebody passes this message to you. And to make matters worse, you have a minister in the presidency, Kumbuzo, who comes out guns blazing and saying what she said concerning banks. Now, there's nothing wrong with Kumbuzo saying what she wanted to say, but the way she said it doesn't make sense. Banks are the most highly regulated in South Africa. And if you read properly this issue, perhaps I'll make a different video, because for me, it's completely irresponsible for a minister to make an unfounded claim that these people are sabotaging South Africa. How many people are employed at Standard Bank? How many people are employed at Netco? How many people are, I'm talking about black people now. How many people are employed in the top 4 banks? Do you know? Standard Bank alone employs 50,000 people. And you speak this carelessly about them, that they are sabotaging South Africa. No, what you needed to do is you now have received intelligence, investigate, get to the bottom, and then as government, deal with them decisively in terms of whoever is supposed to go to jail, let them go to jail. If there are penalties that must be paid, they must be paid. But you are not supposed to make statements that are this divisive, that there are business people who are trying to sabotage South Africa. No, because government is like the father at home. Here in my house, when I'm disciplining my children, I cannot make statements like those that they are trying to sabotage this household. I mean, really, what manner of leadership is that? What manner of leadership is that? There's already enough disinvestment in South Africa that has taken place from 1994 up until today. And most of it is literally justified. Make no mistake about it. Make no mistake about it. With so much hands in the cookie jar, so much theft, so much irregular expenditure in all your departments, in all your municipalities, your national departments, your provincial departments, you name it. And everything that the African National Congress is doing, every time there is a deal of procurement, the comrades are stealing. We know it. You yourself made an outstanding admission in the Zondo Commission. But yet today you don't want to implement what is in the report. Zondo was on Africa News saying that you have not implemented anything. And I believe Zondo, not you. Okay, that's it. South Africans, we have no good story to tell. This man is lying to us. He's trying to trying to gaslight us, to make us believe lies. So let's unite in one thing, that in 2025, we must remove the African National Congress from power. That is our job. We need to converse with our families, with every breath, with everything that we have in us. Let's remove these communists from power. And we must never, ever, ever allow a communist to ascend to power. Communism has not worked anywhere. China is not implementing communism. If you don't have to believe me, research it for yourself. They are employing a hybrid. Their economy is a hybrid. So don't believe the lies you hear from the ANC and the EFF that China is a communist party, but they are so successful. They would never been that successful. When they were a communist party, they remained a developing nation. 30 years ago, they literally changed their strategy. 30 years ago, to be precise. That is when they became the economic hub of the world, where the production hub of the world. They saw what was working and they implemented it. And that's where they are. If you want a good communist country, look at Venezuela. As rich as it is, look at where it is now. If you want a communist country, look at Cuba. Look at where it is now. And you had a president in Castro who lived a schizophrenic life. He appeared poor in the public, like the people who are wearing red overalls in our parliament, but yet they are living a ridiculously expensive life outside parliament. You get the point? They can buy houses for 3.5 million and erase them, destroy them, and then rebuild another thing there. I digress, but as I have said before, I'll still make a video about that. But these examples are important for you to understand that their hands also are in the cookie jar, like the comrades that they are trying to remove. Let's remove all of these people, and we want no communist in power. It must never ever happen that we have communists in power. This is a satanic ideology that was started by Karl Marx, who became a God-hater himself. Okay, guys, that's it. Ciao. Oh, if I'm passionate about it, it's because I love my country. But I hate communists. I hate communism and I hate communists. And they are destroying our country. Ciao, ciao. Bye now.